Hi, it's Matt here with another video. This time it's going to be on Van Halen, everyone's favorite band from Pasadena, which is not too far from where I am here in North Hollywood. I'm actually in Valley Village, which is a subsidiary of North Hollywood. I know Van Halen very well because I was there for the whole, real time, all the albums and whatnot. Saw them live a couple times, once with Roth, once with Hagar. The first album here, Van Halen in 1978, this is the old Steve Hoffman disc, is a classic. It's a 5-star album. Anyone who was, alive and buying rock albums in the late 70s could tell you the impact that this album had. I had never seen anything like it. We had Led Zeppelin, which was huge. AC/DC was on the rise, but they hadn't really quite broken out here in the States yet until Highway to Hell the next year. You had, Michael Schenker with UFO, they were smoking. You had Scorpions, Uriah Heep were kind of past it by then. So on and so forth, Aerosmith, of course. Aerosmith is probably the closest you could compare to Van Halen. They had a kind of like an average live album that year. This was everywhere. It was on the radio. Everyone was talking about what a shit-hot guitar player Eddie Van Halen was. The songs were all great. This is a diamond-selling album, which means it's 10 million or more now. I don't know. But I don't think they ever made a better record than this. All right? It's one of the great, hard rock albums of that time period. In 79, Van Halen 2, which is just kind of more of the same. I wasn't crazy about how it started off with You're No Good, which is, Linda Ronstadt number, not that she wrote it, which had just been a hit a few years before this and was still all over the radio. But, you know what? I never went over the songs, did I? So, Van Halen, Run with the Devil, Eruption. Everybody was blown away by Eruption. That was like shredding before there was such a thing. It really got me. The Kinks number, Ain't Talking About Love, I'm the One, Jamie's Crying, classic, Atomic Punk, Feel Your Love Tonight, Little Dreamer, Ice Cream Man, which is an old blues number, and On Fire. All right, Van Halen 2, like I said, was very similar to its predecessor. I talked about You're No Good. Dance the Night Away was a hit. Somebody Get Me a Doctor, Bottoms Up, Out of Love Again, Light Up the Sky, Spanish Fly was his acoustic intro, kind of like Eruption, to DOA, which is one of the monster numbers. Women in Love was great, and Beautiful Girls, another hit. So we loved it, but they were showing their pop tendencies a little more on this record, showing that they weren't a metal band. They had too much kind of bluesy riffs in there. Metal was becoming something else by that point too. You had Judas Priest on the scene. I should have mentioned them earlier. This is a third album, 1980. Women and Children First. This is a CDR. Don't even have the actual CD. It's really good though. And The Cradle Rock was all over the radio that year. Everybody, so was Everybody Wants Some. Fools is great. Romeo Delight, Tora Tora, Loss of Control. Take Your Whiskey Home is awesome. Could This Be Magic? And A Simple Rhyme. They didn't have bad numbers, really, at this time. They were kind of going from strength to strength. Every new Van Halen album was like an event for, people my age. Did I mention I was in junior high when the first album came out? So I would have been starting high school in 1980, but as a sophomore, because the freshman year when I was a kid was still junior high. Fair Warning is another great one. I think his playing on here, Eddie's playing, it was unsurpassed. He hadn't played this well since the first album, but he was a genius on every album. When I read a book about him years later, I read that this was the weak seller of the early, Roth era Van Halen albums. I was surprised because we loved it. Mean Streets, Dirty Movies, Sinner's Swing. I love all those songs. Hear About It Later. Unchained is classic. Push Comes to Shove, So This Is Love. Sunday Afternoon in the Park is instrumental. And then One Foot Out the Door. It's awesome. Awesomeness, folks. much to see in there with those illustrations. All right. Okay. Diver Down was, what, the 5th album in a row? 1, 2, 3, 4. 5th album in a row in as many years. They did not skip a year. People have put this album down because they say it's got too many covers, but the covers are great. Where Have All the Good Times Gone is another Kinks number. Hang 'Em High always reminded me of the Clint Eastwood movie of that title. Cathedral is another instrumental. Secrets is great. Intruder is the intro to Oh Pretty Woman, the Roy Orbison number, which was a big hit. Dancing in the Streets was another big hit, the Motown song. Little Guitar is the intro to the Little Guitars song. Big Bad Bill is Sweet William Now, The Full Bug, and Happy Trail. So yeah, it's like half the album was covers, but they did wonders with those covers. It's a fun album. My friends and I even thought about having a shirt made that said something, like, we fucking love Diver Down, because it wasn't getting good press at the time, but people on the streets liked it, They could do no wrong, Van Halen. They were like our band. In 1983, they finally did not release a record for the first time, but came back with 1984 the next year, which was their second mega diamond selling album. All the albums sold well. They were multi-platinum, I think. But this one and Van Halen, the first one, were sold more than 10 million. This was, firmly in the era of MTV with the videos and everything, and it took advantage of that. 1984 was the intro to Jump. It was instrumental. Jump was a huge #1 hit. It's a pop song, but it's a hard rockin' pop song. Panama's classic. Top Jimmy. Jimmy, I can't remember his last name. He was a guy here in LA who was kind of like in the punk scene, and David Lee Roth would go see him. And the Rhythm Pigs, Top Jimmy and the Rhythm Pigs, something like that. Anyways, I don't think he ever got to make an album, though. Drop Dead Legs, Hot for Teacher was all over the radio and MTV. I'll Wait was one of the big hits on the album. Girl Gone Bad and House of Pain and the album Nicely, hard rockin' numbers both. They were at their peak here. They could have gone on and been like, one of the major bands of the rest of the 80s. That's not what happened. Obviously, that David Lee Roth had a solo career. I never bought any David Lee Roth albums. I had a friend of mine when I was in the fraternity, Theta Chi fraternity in SDSU in the 80s. My little brother was a big David Lee Roth fan. He had those albums. Anyways, Sammy Hagar, late of Montrose and a solo career, joined the helm in 1985, 86, somewhere around there, giving us 5150. This is my actual 80s CD that I bought when this was a brand new album, brand new CD. I think this is the strongest album that Van Hagar, if we are to call them that, ever made. I do prefer the Roth years. I mean, it's hard to be a Van Halen fan and not take a side. I know people that like the Sammy Hagar stuff better. But being a fan from day one, would have been weird for me just to jump ship and say, yeah, I never did like David Lee Roth. But I'll tell you guys, there was a faction of Van Halen fans that were very anti-Roth when this was going down. I remember going into a Tower Records in San Diego and seeing a homemade sign in the window that said David Lee Roth and had the the circle with the horizontal slash through it. Like, did the employees of Tower Records put that up? Since when is Roth now a bad guy? So that was actually like in the air at the time. And then after the dust settled, I think probably more people came out in favor of Roth, liking the Roth era. But I had no problem with the first 3 anyway, Van Hagar records. This is the best one, 5150. This is the most solid, consistent record, I think, that they made. Good Enough, Why Can't This Be Love was the big hit. Get Up, Dreams was another big hit. Summer Nights was a radio song. Best of Both Worlds was a radio song. Love Walks In's a nice ballad. 5150 and Inside. It's a solid record. Certainly as solid as something like, Diver Down. To get the rest of to get all of the Van Hagar albums, I recommend getting the little box set here with all of them remastered. So there's the 5150, which is a, nope, it doesn't open up. But there's the back and, you know, lyrics and whatnot. OU 812 came out in 1988. I was definitely living in the fraternity by then. Met the woman that I'd later marry that same year. This is another, it's a bit long, this album. They probably could have taken out a song or two, but they're all solid songs. Oh, it doesn't even tell you the names of the songs on there. There we go. Mine All Mine, When It's Love was a hit. AFU, Naturally Wired. Cabo Wabo, which is where Sammy Hagar has his tequila place, right? Source of Infection, Feels So Good. Finish What You Started, which was a radio song. Black and Blue is probably my favorite number on the album. And Sucker in a Three-Piece. So OU 812, I think it's a solid follow-up to 5150. Maybe not quite as good. Might want to excise a song or something, but it's solid. And then I think the last really good one is for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. Came out in 1991, and this was the year of grunge. They seemed kind of old-fashioned at the time, but I still dug them. I don't know, maybe not as good as OU 812, but yes, good enough. I mean, the best songs on there are as good as the best songs on the two previous Ben Hagar albums. Pound Cake, I love. Judgment Day, Spanked. Runaround is, that's classic Van Halen to me. Pleasure Dome, In and Out, Man on a Mission. The Dream Is Over, Right Now, which was a hit, right? And Top of the World. I mean, that's, you know, it's good enough for Van Halen to still be putting out good records, you know, and they started in 1978. And they ended the Van Hagar era with Balance. This is my least favorite, but it's got some good songs on it, you know. The Seventh Seal, Can't Stop Loving You, of course. Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do is another one that was famous. Amsterdam is good. Big Fat Money, Doing Time, After Shock, Strung Out, Not Enough, Take Me Back, Deja Vu, and what's this called? Feelin'? Okay, so by this time I was kind of over Van Halen. You know, they were. I just was into other stuff by the mid-90s. You get this little rarities thing, studio rarities from '89 to 2004. Nothing on here too revelatory, but you know, it's nice. I'm stopping the video there. I know that, you know, they did Van Halen 3 with Sharon. No, I wasn't into that one. I never bought it, but I heard it. I also did not buy the reunion album with Roth, but I heard that one too, and that one actually was pretty good. It was A Certain Kind of Truth in the 21st Century. That was, you know, better album than Balance, right? So, but I'm just doing the early classic years on this video from 78 to whatever this is, 2004 Balance. I'm sorry, 2004, 95. I meant 94, 95. So, yeah, Van Halen. It's funny because I used to compare them to Aerosmith. As soon as Aerosmith began to kind of lose control of their career in the late 70s, Van Halen stepped in because, you know, nature abhors a void. And then when Roth was out and Hagar was in the mid 80s, I'm sorry, I keep getting these decades confused. Shows you my age, right? When that was happening and there was confusion in Van Halen land, Aerosmith kind of came back, you know, from the void. And, you know, because Permanent Vacation was in 87. I guess 5150 was in 86. Then Aerosmith was a really big band, bigger than Van Halen, you know, for the rest of the 80s and well through the 90s. So it's almost like, you know, it's like there couldn't be room in the universe for both bands to be at their peak powers at the same time. As to who I like better, I mean, you know, I did my Aerosmith video a long time ago. I probably at my peak Van Halen fandom, was into Van Halen more than Aerosmith. But now you ask me which band I like better, I don't know. You know, I usually have an opinion one way or the other on anything regarding music, but I really couldn't tell you which band I like better. Or, you know, I love AC/DC for that matter too. I think about like great, rock bands, and they don't necessarily have to be American, right? Because AC/DC were Australian, that weren't metal, you know. Anyways, so it's Matt signing off. This is a short video on Van Halen. Until next time.